Hey, I'm Dr. Sean, and I am a health optimizing physician. I not only optimize health, but I help people to optimize their performance and their appearance, really the quality of their life. So I look at things that are undesirable. I try to figure out why that is the case, and I reverse it. And I don't use drugs. I use life optimizing strategies to biologically optimize people. So in this video, I'm going to cover what this is, some of you know, and I'm going to cover what you can do to reverse it. And I'm going to cover another condition called edema, okay? This happens in people's extremities all over their body. It's fluid in the wrong places. And we just let it happen. We physicians just let it happen. But I don't want it to be happening in you. I don't want it happening in me, and I want to warn you about it because when it happens, it's a sign that something's bad. And we physicians, I mean, I was trained at +1 edema, +2, +3, +4. We can classify it, but we can't do crap about it. And we just use it as opportunities to treat other things. How about we reverse it, not through drugs, but through lifestyle? The better you live your life, the healthier you are, the less you're going to have of this edema. And you want none. Edema is a sign that something is wrong and is not going good. So I'm going to get into that, tell you what to do. But let's first get started right away, okay? So this leg right here, doesn't that look gross? And this leg looks a lot better, okay? This leg here, that's my leg, yeah. I used to be a very unhealthy guy. I was obese. I had fat all over my body in the wrong places. You can't even believe, I can't even believe that was maybe you can believe it. I can't. I feel so good now. I can't believe I used to live like this. It's not so much the appearance, but with it is performance, okay? Which of these legs do you think is attached to a human being that is living better, performing better, feeling better? Yeah, this one here, not this one. But this happens so slow in most of you that you just get accustomed to it. And we see it a lot. You're walking around the mall. You're walking around Disney World. You're walking around the beach. You see this all the time. And there's one, I'm sorry, the only way to describe it, it's gross. But we're getting used to it. We should be alarmed about it, especially if it's in yourself or somebody you care about, a friend, a family member. Why do you let them live like this? Love them, help them, get them through this because they deserve to live a healthy, happy, good life. And you're not going to when you got disease like this in your body. So what is that condition, that big plaque? That was my last one I had. That is eczema, an eczematous plaque. I had eczema all over my body. That one was huge. It looked like a piece of chicken on the back of my legs. And I had them all over. A big area I had them was right here in my face. And I would walk around, it would itch like Hades. And I knew you shouldn't be scratching, right? Doctors tell you don't scratch. I knew, I was a doctor, I knew I couldn't scratch. But I was like, I never heard anybody say I can't tap. So I'd walk around like this. I would tap the heck out of that thing. And my kids would walk around mocking me. Mocking me when they were younger, okay? They don't mock me anymore. I got rid of it. Ooh, I had such a big inflamed patch. I had to have a big patch of Duoderm on my face because I was treating it the wrong way with steroids. And you can make it go away with steroids and improve it, but it's not going to cure it because this is a lifestyle problem. This just evidences I am not living properly. What was I doing? Orange juice, rice, spaghetti with Sean O'Mara sauce loaded with sugar because sugar makes things taste better. And I made my spaghetti sauce with a lot of sugar, brown sugar, and fudge, and I had candy and candy apples and all sorts of nonsense, okay? And I'm stuck with eczema. So if you got eczema, what you want to do is clean up your diet, get rid of processed foods, eat food in whole form. For God's sakes, at least eat things in whole form. Eliminate complete processed foods so you can eat meat and vegetables. Currently, I think the best strategy and the best results I get is just eating meat and then eating only vegetables in fermented form. Food that's been fermented. So kvass, kimchi, fermented probiotic sauerkraut. It should have words on the jar like raw, unpasteurized, cultured, live, probiotic, living, fermented. Those words all suggest that that is fermented, living, probiotic, fermented foods, okay? If it's pasteurized, if it's sitting on a shelf somewhere in a store, that means it is not, it may have been fermented, but then it gets pasteurized. You want to get it where it's in the refrigerated section of your grocery store or food co-op, or just Google fermented foods near me and find a place where it's sold. And so I recommend cutting out processed foods and eating fermented vegetables. And I have videos about fermented vegetables that you can get into, so I don't have time to go into the details of that, but just setting it up. And then other things you want to do is you want to fast, embrace fasting. And so things that produce chaperone proteins, heat shock proteins, basic resilient building practices are things that reverse disease, things like a disease process like eczema. So get more chaperone proteins, heat shock proteins, cold shock proteins in your diet, in your body. How do you do that? Resilient building exercise. Not too much resilience, like jogging is too much, but a lot of resilience in a short period of time, like sprinting. Don't jog, don't run, sprint. That's what you should do. And then don't hang out in the Sahara Desert or the Mojave Desert or the Arabian Desert or some other desert, for days. You want to get into a sauna for like 15 to 30, 40 minutes, okay? And high heat for a short period of time. That which does not kill me makes me stronger. And you want a dry finish sauna, not an infrared sauna. And then you want to get other high maximum intensity resilient kind of exercise. So fasting. So you want to fast for a short period of time, not starve yourself for months or weeks, but just an extended fast. Work your way up, from doing OMAD, 1 meal a day, to doing maybe from 1 meal a day to maybe a 30-hour fast, and then a 36-hour fast, and then a 42-hour fast, and then a 48-hour fast, to the point that you are doing fasting like I do, 72 hours once a week. So I fast for 72 hours, 0 calories. So fasting is another great thing. And then sunshine. Sunshine is actually a resilient building exercise. It's not too tough. And sunshine is also incidentally quite good for eczema. So these kind of practices, heat shock proteins, build heat shock proteins and chaperone proteins are wonderful for your health, and incorporated into like a healthy meat diet with fermented foods. It really will help improve not only resolving eczema, but all chronic disease. And the most important biomarker that I found to date to follow to get you to really be optimally healthy is visceral fat. So those practices I highly recommend. Consider doing them, incorporating them. And if you got eczema like this, it will resolve. If you got visceral fat, it's going to resolve, and edema is going to resolve. So if I put my finger and pushed into that calf, it would leave a dent, versus I put my finger on this calf and push into it, it's not going to leave a dent. So what you want to have are fluid, I'm just going to turn my camera here a little bit, on your legs. If you can see, I've got nice definition. Okay, I can push down on that. I don't leave a dent. I got nice definition in my legs. Okay, instead of a fat, swollen, edematous, body of tissue, which really indicates that you got fluid in the wrong places. Where do you want fluid? You want fluid in the cell. You want fluid in your vasculature. That means your arteries, your veins, and your capillaries. And the third The third space you don't want fluid where it goes off to, and you have a small amount of it, is the interstitial space, the third space. So we physicians, we call this third spacing when fluid starts leaking out of where it's supposed to be in your cell and your vasculature and starts going to third space and it accumulates out there in higher quantities, and we call it third spacing, and we call it edema. So this edema is not good. One of the early signs that shows up is sock lines. They're not cool. You know, they don't really happen to you when you're young and healthy. They start happening to you when you get older. And, you know, it's so slow, we don't, you know, and it seems to be so common. We put up, just like obesity. Yeah, I don't know why we put up with it. We put up with it, it's so slow. It's so sinister. Just slowly we put up with it. Accept it, you know, no, you don't accept disease. You accept people, okay? But not their bad lifestyle choices, not the disease in their life. You know, I'm pushing back on that. Yeah, call me a fat shamer, whatever you want to call me. No, I'm going after people that have disease to help them get free of disease, not tell them it's okay, all right? Now, I will say this. There are extremes. People are going after some people to have a lot of subcutaneous fat. That's not nearly as bad as, you know, some people that have a lot of hidden fat, okay? It's called invisible obesity, visceral fat deep in it. So it's not just because somebody looks bad that they've got a huge amount of disease. It's really the kind of fat that you have in your body and the inflammation you have in your body. This is inflammation, okay? So you don't want to have that kind of fluid source. So how does that start happening? Okay, so fluid starts leaking out when we're unhealthy. Things start breaking down, and it's a combination of multiple things. You got all these people, you know, I start complaining about, you know, chronic disease and bring up something like thinning hair, okay? You got these binary people. No, balding is from DHT, you know, sensitivity, receptors. It's only, I can only see it this way. Listen, disease comes in through a multitude of things breaking down. And there are contributions, multiple contributions, okay? You can't just be thinking black and white about these things. Ask what else could be contributing to my hair thinning. You know, what else could be contributing to my edema? And there are a multitude of contributions to disease. A big one that I talk a lot about is visceral fat. It's almost like you could forget everything else, just get rid of your visceral fat. But to help you understand, again, precisely a little bit better, you know, edema, fluid leaks out of the cells, leaks out of your vasculature. You know, one of the ways it leaks out of your vasculature is your endothelial cells, these beautiful cells that line your vasculature, you know, arteries, veins, and capillaries. The junction in them start breaking down, and they just don't function as well. So things leak out of that vasculature, they pass into the third space, and then they stay in that third space, and they also don't go back into the lymphatics, and don't go back in. They don't get mobilized. It doesn't get recruited. How you want things to work is like a well-oiled, efficient car, okay? You got this and I don't know much about cars, but I'm just going to borrow this analogy. Radiator, water pump, engine, and hoses and things that carry it around there. When those things are all working properly, it's humming and working perfectly. But when it starts leaking, and then it starts fluid going in the wrong place, it starts collecting in the wrong space, and things start breaking down. And that's kind of what happens in the human body. But a well-oiled, highly efficient working automobile, kind of efficient, you know, for image-wise, is like a healthy 16 to 20-year-old, okay, that is healthy. It doesn't have a lot of chronic disease because they don't have a lot of visceral fat. And so they haven't accumulated a lot of chronic disease, so they don't have edema. And what do they typically have who are some of the nicest, have some of the nicest looking Instagram pose, you know, if they're bodybuilding, are teenagers, okay, and 20-year-olds. You know, dude, if you're 60 years old, like I am, you're just not going to be crushing it with these fantastic poses. Now, you can look fantastic compared to other 60-year-olds, but you're just not going to, be in the same league as a 22-year-old that's ripped and shredded and has no visceral fat and has never, more importantly, suffered from the long-term effects of visceral fat. Now, I'd like to see a 60-year-old who's never had visceral fat, who's never eaten processed foods, who's never eaten processed carbs, and see what they look like. I think we got a chance that those 60-year-olds actually certainly could look a lot better. Whether they would beat a 22-year-old, I'm not quite ready. I don't think I could say that, but we can do better. We just haven't taught, enough 60-year-old guys when they were 8, when they were 4, 2, 1, how they should be eating. And so we're slowly getting there. Okay, so when you have this fluid leaking out and you can't recruit that fluid, it starts accumulating in tissue. And one of the ways you see it is loss of definition. You don't have this great definition, and sock lines, and then pitting edema. You can push down on your skin, and it pushes in, and you pull away, and it leaves a dent. Okay, that is pitting edema. It creates a little pit in there. So if you are wearing socks, you have ligature, straps, things tied up, and you lift them away and it leaves this line, then you have this pitting edema and fluid is leaking out into the wrong spaces, so you don't want to have that. So anyway, I want to warn you about that. You want to have a beautiful definition to your body. You want to have nice muscles and frames and good definition when you're holding your poses. You want to look good. Not when you're just holding your poses, when you're doing your work, when you're living, you want to have a healthy, vigorous, vital appearance to you, not an inflamed, edematous looking face, inflamed, edematous looking, tissue, body of tissues. It's the whole picture. Everything should look good. So that was Sean before. This is more Sean today. And that's what I want you to be aware of. Okay, so wanted to cover that, eczema, wanted to cover edema and legs. And as you get rid of those things, also your hair on your legs will start getting more hairy like mine did, really tripled in size of my hair. So anyway, common theme I'm trying to go through recently is taking a look at legs, trying to get them looking better, addressing some of the manifestations of chronic disease in your legs to be aware of, and to be able to educate my followers and people who are interested in this, how to optimize themselves, biologically optimize their health. And as always, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button so you can get alerted when I post these things, and share it with somebody. Somebody who's got eczema. Somebody who's got a big swollen legs and stuff. I look at chronic venous insufficiency, big purple legs. I remember seeing them as a med student. I was like, my God, dear God, I hope my legs never look like that. And we just walk around acting like it was normal. I mean, inside I'd be shrieking, but all the doctors, everybody training would be like, business here, this is the way they look. And guess what? Doctors end up looking like that too, because the same disease process that afflicts those patients that oftentimes afflict doctors. And they fall apart and they have heart attacks and strokes and accumulate visceral fat as everybody else, because they don't know. We're not trained, okay? That's why I'm doing this, because I'm really skeptical you're going to find this out anywhere else on your own. I am very, very lucky that I happen to find out about making healthy choices. And that's why I do what I do. Try to share people that it really does matter. How you eat, how you live, how you sleep, all these things, how you exercise plays a significant contribution, way more than medicine. We like to believe, and I was trained by, this arrogant profit-seeking system, that it's medications and doctors and what we do. No, it's more nature and what the individual does with his or her life than it is medications. All right, so share this with somebody else so they benefit from this. And as always, if you have comments and questions, go ahead and put them in there. I love to address them. And I will see you on another optimizing video. Dr. Sean out.